Before we start, I would like you to hit that red subscribe button so that you never miss out on any of our videos. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Massive Phenomenon. Number 5. Battle of Agincourt, Henry V. One of the most famous wars in the history of humanity is the Hundred Years' War. It was fought between the English and the French in the 14th and 15th centuries. The most well-known and studied battle from this war is the Battle of Agincourt. The Battle of Agincourt, according to many historical reports, is considered to be one of the greatest military victories ever. That is because, again, reportedly, there were 5 times as many French soldiers as English ones. Incredible, right? Almost unbelievable. In fact, it turns out that there were not 5 times as many French soldiers. It may have been about twice as many. Some scholars believe that the numbers were nearly equal. The Battle of Agincourt was one of Henry V's greatest victories as a king because of the reportedly uneven numbers. Shakespeare was even inspired by this battle, leading him to rate Henry V. It makes you wonder whether Henry V would even be as well known as he is today without his attempt to rewrite history. Number 4. Irish slave myth. Various. A rewriting of history that still affects us today is the Irish slave myth. The Irish slave myth compares the forced slavery of African Americans to the indentured servitude of Irish Americans in the 17th and 18th centuries. This is commonly used as a justification not to provide reparations to families of former slaves. The myth suggests that Irish indentured servants were treated equally or worse than African slaves. Sometimes it goes even further, suggesting that Irish people were also enslaved. Another purpose of this myth is to undermine African Americans' discrimination. After all, Irish Americans apparently had it worse. Fortunately, most people understand that this comparison is completely invalid. First, it is important to note that Irish indentured servants had a choice. They entered into indentured servitude willingly. Unfortunately, some people believe this myth or pretend to believe it. There have been multiple academic responses to the Irish slaves myth. According to Irish Central publisher Niall O'Dowd, these claims are attempts to trivialize and deny the centuries of institutionalized race-based slavery. Number 3. Turkey denial of Armenian genocide. Turkish government. During World War I, the Ottoman Empire, Turks led the genocide committed against the Armenian people, with more than 1 million being massacred. Turkey's government has been unwilling to accept responsibility for this atrocity and instead has tried to rewrite its own history. This came to a head in 2006. Turkey was and still is trying to join the European Union as a full member state. 5 Turkish journalists were tried for insulting the judicial institutions of the state. They were questioning Turkey's version of the Armenian genocide. Thankfully, all 5 of the journalists were eventually acquitted. It turned out, however, that the 5 journalists were a sort of test case for the European Union because they denied their role in the Armenian genocide and their attempt to prosecute journalists. Turkey was denied entry to the European Union. The Armenian genocide remains a taboo topic in Turkey today. Number 2. Nanking Massacre. Japanese government. Several names also refer to the Nanking Massacre. The Nanjing Massacre or the Rape of Nanjing is the most common. Whatever you call it, it is truly one of the most horrific slaughters in human history. Japan's army invaded the Chinese mainland. For 6 full weeks, they slaughtered the citizens. The death toll is estimated to be anywhere from 40,000 to 200,000. Reportedly, there were mass rapings committed as well, more than 20,000. As if that weren't enough, Japanese invaders looted and burned the city and terrorized its inhabitants. 2 Japanese officers, Toshiaki Mukai and Tsuyoshi Noda, even held a contest to see who could slaughter 100 people fastest with a sword. It is easy to see why the Japanese government would want to distance itself from these atrocities. In 2012, 2 Japanese mayors denied that the massacre occurred on such a huge scale. Overall, however, historians and majority of Japanese citizens understand the Nanking Massacre happened. Number 1. Holocaust denial. David Irving. Sadly, some people try to deny or rewrite the most tragic events in human history. Holocaust deniers have existed in one way or another ever since the Holocaust occurred. One of the most well-known is David Irving, the author of Hitler's War. In 2000, he sued Penguin Books and American scholar Deborah Lipstadt for libel after Lipstadt wrote that he was a denier and a pro-Nazi ideologue, a case he lost. He also served 3 years in prison in 2006 in Austria for denying the existence of gas chambers at Auschwitz. Fortunately, Irving is not taken seriously by real academics, as the judge in his Austrian trial said, for his own ideological reasons, persistently and deliberately misrepresented. He is anti-Semitic and racist, and that he is associated with right-wing extremists who promote neo-Nazism. Even with his prison time and legal defeat, Irving has maintained his stance and endless attempt to rewrite history. Unfortunately, despite incredible evidence, Holocaust deniers still exist and try to convince the rest of the world that they are right. This brings us to the end of our video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit like if you did, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss any of our videos in the future. Also, watch the 2 videos that are on your screen because I'm sure you'll love them. With that, I'll see you in the next video.